Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Tuesday means it's Type 2 or Standard Tuesday. However, we got a bit of a problem. Ixalan doesn't officially start until next weekend. We had pre-release a few days ago, but the set doesn't really come out until Friday, which means we don't really have deck lists yet. However, we do have some hypothetical deck lists. So if you've never seen them before, there used to be this series called Hareruya Wayfinder, where Tomohiro Saito used to put out a bunch of deck lists when the set was first spoiled. So it's kind of morphed into Hareruya Wayfinder, the big Japanese magic site / team. So now their whole team puts out decks, and this is my favorite of the decks that they published this past week. This is Grixis Tezzerator from Mark Tobiyashi. So a quick reminder before we break down Grixis Tezzerator for Ixalan Standard, if you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. Oh yeah, one last thing before we get to the cards. There's no sideboards for any of the Hareruya Wayfinder decks. So if you want to play this deck, kind of throw in your own sideboard cards, some counters, some removal, whatever you think might be good. So bear that in mind as we go through the list. Anyway, let's talk Grixis Tezzerator, which is built around Tezzeret the Schemer, a planeswalker that feels really popular, but just hasn't quite caught on yet in Standard. So 4 mana, 5 loyalty, already a good deal. You can make essentially a treasure token by +1ing it. Yes, it's not actually a treasure, it has a different name, but as far as how it plays, it's essentially just a treasure token, and then you can -2 to kill a creature, or give a creature -X, -X, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Obviously supports itself. You make the artifacts, start killing stuff, and then, if you remember our Darksteel Reactor deck, the -7 gives us an emblem that turns an artifact into a 5/5 every one of our turns. So we just keep getting this steady stream of 5/5 artifacts, turning our treasures, our Ethereum cells, into really big threats that kill our opponent. So this is kind of the key piece of the deck. And one of the reasons that Tezzeret the Schemer hasn't really caught on in Standard yet is the support has only been kind of so-so. However, Tezzeret's gotten a couple of great new support cards in Ixalan thanks to the treasure mechanic. So the big new cards we get in this deck are Revel and Riches, Spell Swindle, and Treasure Map. So Revel and Riches is actually like our backup win condition if we can get 10 treasures on the battlefield, which isn't going to be very easy, but is theoretically possible with our treasure maps, with our spell swindles. Then we can use it to win the game. Plus, whenever we kill a creature, we get a treasure, which makes some really sweet synergies with Tezzeret. We play Tezzeret, start making artifacts, get down on Revel and Riches, -2 Tezzeret to kill one of our opponent's things, which gets us a treasure token, which then makes Tezzeret able to kill even bigger things next time we go to activate it. Some really sweet synergies there, as well as being our backup win condition. Spell Swindle lets us counter something, plus it gives us a bunch of treasure tokens, potentially. We just get a bunch of treasures equal to the spell's convert mana cost, which means we can get like 3 or 4 or 5 or even like 8 with a dinosaur being countered, which is a ton of artifacts for our Tezzeret, a ton of treasures for our Revel and Riches. One of the best ways to just get a ton of counters for Revel and Riches. And then Treasure Map, a little bit weird. The front half doesn't do that much. You can pay 1 to scry 1 and put a counter on it, but once you get 3 counters, it flips around into a land that lets us sack our treasures to draw cards, basically turns all of our treasures into clues, and it gives us 3 treasures. So combining that with Spell Swindle not only gives us a legitimate chance of winning with Revel and Riches, but also really powers up our Tezzeret. Tons of tokens to turn into 5/5s, tons of artifacts for killing stuff. The rest of the deck, we got a few more artifacts, mostly for fixing our mana. Renegade Map comes down early, fixes our mana. If we don't need a land, can just sit out on the battlefield and up our artifact count, maybe eventually become a 5/5 with Tezzeret. Prophetic Prism cycles, draws us a card, fixes our mana. Cultivator's Caravan, we can always crew it up if we need to. Also helps us ramp into our Revel and Riches, into our more expensive plays. Then we have more artifact payoff. So if we're not going to win with Tezzeret, win with Revel and Riches, we can draw a bunch of cards with Reverse Engineer, but the artifacts really help us with our Herald of Anguish. So since we can make take so many treasures in this deck. Gonna be really easy for us to cast our Herald of Anguish with Improvise for just 2 or 3 real mana. Then we have a huge 5/5 flyer, dodges Glorybringer, dodges Chandra, a lot of removal like that. Makes our opponent discard their stuff. We can sack our treasures to kill our opponent's stuff with the last ability, so just a huge flying demonic threat to help us close out the game quickly. Our last payoff, only a one of, but we have Nicol Bolas the God-Pharaoh, which might not seem like a payoff for being an artifact/treasure deck, but remember, the treasures are basically Lotus Petals. We can sack them to add a mana, so as we counter our opponent's stuff and get treasures, as we use our treasure map to get treasures, all that stuff, even the Ethereum cells from our Tezzeret, that gives us a ton of mana to help us ramp into a Nicol Bolas God-Pharaoh really quickly. And once Nicol Bolas God-Pharaoh is on the battlefield, it is really hard to beat. It kills our opponent's stuff, generates card advantage, empties our opponent's hand, just a very unbeatable Planeswalker if we can ramp into it quickly enough. Otherwise, we round out the deck with a bunch of removal, couple of Fatal Pushes, some Walk the Planks, and then a couple of Bantu's Last Reckonings. Bantu's Last Reckoning, kind of important, beating things like Carnage Tyrant, which is very hard to deal with. Also works pretty well with our deck, since a lot of our threats are artifacts. Cultivator's Caravan makes mana that we can still use even after Bantu's Last Reckoning makes us not untap. Same with all of our Ethereum spells and our treasures. That's mana we can still use with Bantu's Last Reckoning. Plus our big threats, Planeswalkers, Nicol Bolas, our Tezzeret, which don't really die to Bantu's Last Reckoning. So if there's ever a good Bantu's Last Reckoning deck for Standard, it might be this one, because we have a lot of ways to minimize the downside of not untapping, and a lot of threats that don't care about Wrath. Mana base wise, Drowned Catacombs, Fetid Pools, the blue-black duels, Canyon Slough to add a little red mana, also some nice cycling action, If They're Dreadlands for more removal, some swamps, and some islands, and that is Grixis Tezzerator for Ixalan Standard. And that's our instant deck tech for today, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.